Alright guys, so today we're going to be doing a little bit of a versus here. We're going to compare the Zastava M70A to the Star Model BM Police Trade-In. Now a lot of people are going to be saying, hey, wait a minute. Why would you compare these two guns? It's like comparing apples to oranges. These two guns are not anything alike, but I want you to stick with me for just a minute while I explain the similarities between these two and why I think if you're in the market for one of these guns, why you would be doing yourself a disservice by not at least taking a look at the other, okay? What we have here are two imported guns, two Mil-Serp-ish police trade-in-esque firearms, okay? Both solid steel, 9mm, single stack guns, both 8+1 in the chamber. Both very Browning / 1911-ish, both in form, function, and feel. Both single action, hammer-fired guns with safeties. Now that right there across the board, I mean, that's a lot of similarities between two very different guns. One based off an old Tokarev design, which is ripped off from an old Browning design, and one obviously based off of the 1911 design, although it does have some key differences as far as the trigger and safety and that kind of thing goes. There are a lot of similarities between these two. Also, one big similarity is the price point. Now you can go over to places like Classic Firearms right now. This gun right here costs $220. This gun right here costs $230. $10 difference between the two. So that's a whole other way to compare these two guns, in that if you're in the market for, let's say, something that is more of a kind of a tried and true design. This gun's been around since the 70s. This gun in this current configuration has only been around since the late 80s, but just the Tokarev design has been around since the 1930s. So if you're looking for kind of a tried and true design gun and you don't want to spend a lot of money, it's another good comparison between these two. Okay, so a lot of similarities between these, all right? The Tokarev is a larger gun, but it is also a little bit lighter. This one comes in at about 31 ounces. This one, the Star Model BM, it is smaller, a little more compact, but it actually weighs in at about 38 ounces. So this one's a little more hefty, even though it is more compact. Now, as far as kind of feel in the hand, they both kind of feel a little 1911-ish, but obviously this one feels a little more 1911-ish, okay? But that's probably because they're both Browning design pistols, or ripped off from Browning designs, okay? So they're gonna feel very similar. If you're comfortable with the 1911, you're going to be comfortable with pretty much either one of these. Again, single action, hammer fired, both of them have safeties, although the safety on the Star is much more 1911-ish. The Star in general just feels much more 1911-ish in the hand, although I gotta say, the M70A also has a very 1911-ish feel. Just that overall design, I mean, if you just kind of look at it from right there, it looks like a 1911. It's got a very similar grip angle. It's very thin, just like a 1911. Both of these guns really do feel a lot like 1911, so that's another comparison there. Now, size-wise, as I said, one is definitely bigger than the other, but honestly, not that much bigger. If you line up the dovetail here to the back of the Zastava, the biggest difference is right here at the front. You got about 3/4 of an inch, but right here they're pretty similar. At the back, I mean, pretty much everywhere else they're very, very similar. As far as you know, the thickness goes, they're very, very similar there as well. Both very thin guns. Again, going back to this Browning / 1911 type of design, they feel very, very similar. Now, just my personal opinion, I think most people, just talking to people and knowing what people are looking for in firearms, knowing how, you know, a lot of people are just comfortable with certain designs and things like that, I think most people in general would probably be happier with the Star Model BM as opposed to the Zastava M70A. I just think because it's more of a 1911-ish gun, it's a little bit smaller, it does feel a little bit better and more natural in the hand with this curved back strap, and just in general feeling more like a 1911. I think more people would be happier with this. I think most people out there, if I were to say, hey, these are the two guns I'm looking at, which one would you recommend? I'd probably tell most people, hey, go ahead and spend the extra 10 bucks and get one of these, because I think in the end you're going to be happier with it. Me personally, I like the Zastava M70A just a little bit better, and a lot of that has to do with the simplicity of the design. If you saw the other video that I did, where I just kind of did an overview of the gun and then did a disassembly on it, this thing is so simple. I mean, it's got less parts than a Glock has in it, and there's something very desirable about that in a handgun, having something that's just so simple. And again, in a design that's been around since the 1930s. This is very much a tried and true design, and something that just for me personally, I think I like a little bit better than this one. Although, as I said, I think in the end, most people would be happier with this gun than with this one. But that's pretty much it. That's my comparison. You know, a little size, a little weight comparison there. A lot of similarities between these two. I mean, again, both of these are solid steel, single stack, single action, hammer fired guns, 9mm, very Browning-esque firearms. Even the same capacity on both of these guns. Both in the same price range, just $10 apart. Both very budget-friendly options for good tried and true designs. Either one of these guns would be a great gun if you're looking to pick up something on a budget or just something kind of cool. But in general, if I'm going to put out a blanket recommendation for most people, I'd say most people would probably enjoy the Star Model BM just a little bit more. So anyway, that's it. I appreciate you guys watching. You got any questions, comment, leave it down below, and we will talk to you guys later.